What's happening, cinephiles? This is Dan.
This is Zach.
And we are the Feature Fellas. Welcome to Disaster Debates. What the duck?
This week, we're covering the 1986 film Howard the Duck, which is weirdly, technically, one of the first Marvel films put to the big screen.
Really?
Yeah, he's a Marvel character, which is real weird. Howard the Duck holds a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is pretty harsh.
That's pretty harsh, yeah.
4.7 on IMDb and a 2.2 on Letterboxd, which I think is pretty high for Letterboxd.
Yeah, average everywhere
but
else.
But just snobs over there. Howard the Duck was critically hated upon release. It earned 7 Razzie nominations and it won 4.
Wow.
And was ultimately a flop at the box office, bringing in 38 mil on a budget of around 37. So there's no profit, there's nothing.
Poor Howard.
Apparently, after an original test screening, Universal executives Sid Sheinberg and Frank Price argued about who greenlit the film. They were passing it back and forth because they thought it was so bad.
Yeah.
Didn't want to own it.
No one wanted to take
the argument ended up in a full-on fist fight. And shortly after the release, Frank Price quit his job at Universal.
Oh my God.
It's also weird to look back on Guardians of the Galaxy, where obviously the post-credit scene is Howard the Duck.
Yes.
Real weird. This is a real bizarre, kind of weirdly sexual, and just an odd film.
Mm-hmm.
So, without further ado, let's just get into this review. So, it opens up, and the first thing you see is George Lucas Presents. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, nice.
Here we go.
Nice, 80s George Lucas, wonderful. So at this point, I just thought I was being bad with geography, and I thought this might be New York.
It is. It pretty much is New York.
So I was like, okay, must be New York. We're in an apartment, and it's clearly Howard the Duck's apartment because there's a lot of duck-related pictures, and there's like family pictures.
Yeah, there's sort of a little clue right in the start. Do you see the 2 moons?
No.
So yeah, as you're coming in, you have like the shot of like it is pretty much. I mean, it probably is New York, and then but there's like 2 red moons.
Okay.
In the background, so it's like a little clue as to like this isn't Earth, but it's pretty much New York.
George Lucas loves 2 moons. Yeah, fair play. There's a poster on the wall. It's supposed to be like Indiana Jones. It says "Breeders of the Lost Stork." It's just right at the beginning. They just really hit you with that weird sexual tone.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? There's a Rolling Egg magazine instead of a Rolling Stones magazine. There's
so many like duck puns you could count here. I didn't count hardly any of them because there was just so many.
Yeah.
I assumed at this point he was kind of like a washed-up actor.
Yeah. Did you see the photos of him though?
Yes.
Oh my God! So there's one where he's in like a weed plantation. There's and then obviously we kind of see the band photo.
But I thought you see like these posters on the wall. I just assumed he was the actor in these films. I don't know why I thought that, but it felt like that was the case.
All the ducks kind of. Well, I mean, they're all ducks. So they pretty much all look the same. You can't really distinguish them, but yeah.
And then he gets a phone call from a girl who's like basically asking him to go over there and spend the night.
Yes.
This is like the first few minutes of this film. Like it's real weird.
And all of a sudden, well, you better come over here tonight, and I'll show you what really happened.
There's another poster on the wall that says "Splash Dance" instead of "Flash Dance."
Yeah,
wonderful. Nice. We finally see Howard the Duck.
Yeah,
I think he looks pretty cool.
He does. He does. Yeah.
It's a bit odd at first because obviously it's one thing I really liked about this whole film is that he is a man in a suit. Yeah, it's a man in a suit.
Yeah.
And his beak kind of looks a bit weird because it's still like a human face with makeup just over it.
Yeah.
It's kind of freaky.
It's a bit off. But I think the beak's really the only thing that's like really noticeable.
Looks great.
Yeah, no, it really does.
So at this point, I didn't realise we're on a duck planet. This is not New York. This is like a duck planet. Yeah. Never say the name of the planet? I don't think so. But then I realised that all the people on the TV shows are ducks. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
this is weird. He's sitting there and he opens up the latest issue of Play Duck.
Oh my God, this is so weird.
And he like, just the classic turn and open it and it's like a sexy woman duck.
Mm-hmm. My little airbrushed beauty.
Did you see though? So he's watching TV. He's there with cigar. He's he's got his recliner, isn't it? And then there's like a sort of ad for like sort of itchy scrotums.
Oh,
And then he literally like a sort of scrotum cream comes on, and then he just starts scratching his nuts like before opening his Playdeath magazine. It's
a strange.
yeah.
Okay, so some sort of earthquake goes off. That's what we think it is right now. And Howard's sitting in his armchair, and he gets thrown through the walls.
Just backwards. He just starts getting.
It's like scary. It's
No, it
real
is. Yeah.
He flies through some rooms. I think it's like an older couple in the next room, which I thought was his parents, but they're not.
Yeah.
They're just like chilling in bed.
Yeah, he's sort
That's
of like
fine.
in like an apartment complex, isn't
Yeah.
he? And he's just getting pulled through the entire complex.
So that's absolutely fine. He goes through that room, and then he goes into the next room, and it's a bathroom where there's a duck woman, and she's fully naked. And this is 12's children's kind of teenager movie. Tits.
I'm such a lucky love.
She has duck tits.
Yeah, just full on. Like who
Breasts,
the who?
nipples and everything.
The whole thing, the
Which
whole
is-
shebang.
It's funny because obviously he opens up the what's it called?
The
duck-
play
the
duck.
play duck.
And it's like-
It's very obviously like a naked duck, but it's more everything's like smoothed over.
Yes.
Like there's no
You can't see
there's no
anything.
nipples.
No.
Whereas for some reason when he goes past the bath, there's nipples.
Yeah, and it's just
Duck
odd. Like,
nipples.
whose idea was this? And who? I'd love to know who had to sculpt this character and just be like, yeah, done.
I mean, yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is just a woman with her breasts out.
It's just bizarre.
But very, very odd.
Yeah, super odd. In the first 5 minutes, I
Yeah.
had to pause this scene and just write it down. 'Cause I was
Yeah.
so confused.
This is, I mean, it's like a literal like 5-second shot, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
He
and he
just
flies past, and she's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
wow.
So yeah, like I found out here, this is like a duck town. I thought, not the world.
Yeah.
It's but it is. It's the world. I thought he was the only duck, and then the earthquake thing takes him from like the trajectory this way up into space.
Yeah.
He just literally goes
It's
like
like
this.
It's like a tractor beam of sorts, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just pulls him upwards.
Yeah, it's
So he just gets thrown off the planet.
yeah. He goes flying. The world he was on was an egg.
Egg.
It's just a giant,
Nice little.
nice little.
Yeah.
And I said at this point, this is technically a Marvel production. Technically,
Yeah.
they're doing like multiverse and like other world films here, let alone now. It's
Yeah.
crazy how far
Wow.
we've come. Howard the Duck is now in some normal world. It's humans, not ducks.
Yeah, there's like a weird bit, isn't there? We have this sort of like voiceover guy speaking about the
Yeah.
cosmos while he's
Yes.
like flying through. So
And then
they've
it
got
announces the title.
yeah, so he's like sort of flying through space. There's a guy like sort of like it's like talking about the cosmos, talking about space and all this,
Mhm.
like, and he's just but it's just him like like flying around, and then it just kind of ends with it. At the beginning, there was Howard the Duck,
Yeah.
and then he just crashes down into Earth.
It's real
that-
80s.
Yeah, it's just odd, isn't it?
It's super
Odd
weird,
start,
yeah,
like.
super weird. So yeah, he's landed on Earth now, and these people like just mug him straight away.
Yeah, so
I
he
know
kind
he's
of-
on like he's ended like a rough part of wherever they are. Where did they say they are? I can't remember.
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Yeah,
And he's clearly in a bit of a rough point, but they just mug
yeah,
him.
it's really weird, isn't it? 'Cause he kind of falls down. You can see there's like a bit of a screen thing as he's
Oh,
falling when he's sort of like, oh, wow, you know. So he's coming down, lands like directly onto a chair, and then these like sort of Mad Max looking people
Yeah.
just like turn up and start.
They just start mugging him. They
But I
take
mean,
him
he's-
away.
He's a duck.
Yeah, no, yeah. This is the part where some people are freaked out by it
Yeah.
later on, but at
The
first,
first
they just
people
mug
are
him.
just a duck.
I'm
A human
assuming-
duck.
I'm
that's
assuming they
thrown
think
through
he's
the
like-
air.
a child in a costume.
Yeah,
But why
yeah,
would you
yeah.
mug a child in a costume? So they like take him away to some like nightclub,
Yeah,
and then he immediately gets thrown out of the club because they think he's a child.
yeah.
And then some homeless woman just starts beating him
Beating
up.
him.
I don't know
No.
whose idea any of this was. Super weird. So we're in the club again, and the band that is playing is awesome.
Oh, really good.
Real good. They're
Really
called Cherry
good.
Bombs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Real good.
Yeah, this is the first like song from it.
It
and-
almost reminds me of the music in Wayne's World. You know, Cassandra's
Yes.
band. Very, very similar.
Yes, yes, yes.
Real cool. Howard is like running away from these people because he's quite clearly freaked out. They're all humans, and he starts like he's like up against a wall, and he starts doing this with his arm, and he turns out to be rubbing this woman's leg
Yeah.
like up his skirt.
Yeah, there's like two
They
like a
kiss
couple.
it. Yeah,
Like,
they like
kissing.
kiss it, and he just like runs his hand up her leg, and he freaks out. She freaks out. He runs away.
Yeah.
Then we see the biker gang. The back of their jacket says "Satan's sluts." It's so weird. This is 8 minutes into the film. It's
This whole section's chaos.
It's
isn't it?
incredible.
Yeah.
And I said, as freaky as he kind of is when he's like running around and stuff, he looks really good.
No, he
I
does.
think. And I said, it's quite rare to have a full practical suit. instead of it just being like hands and a face. Hands and a head. I think it looks pretty good. I'll be honest. I really like it. But yeah, that was the intro to Howard the Duck.
Yeah, so he's basically like he is child size, isn't he? He is like a really small human sort of thing. But yeah, this whole like big chase sequence, and then the biker gang get him. He sort of ends up on a bike, and then he like throws him up. He ends up like and then just ends up in a bin.
So he's just in the bin.
Yeah, people are sort of like go from like terrified to confused to sort of just trying to mug him and
they just all beat up and mug him.
It's all a bit of a mess, but
it's real weird.
Great.
So we see the lead of the band walking home after the gig, and two guys stop bothering her. They get a bit handsy and weird with her. It's a bit awkward.
Yeah, they're sort of like, "Oh, we're your biggest fans." Like, sign my shorts, I think he said at one point. And then she's sort of like, "Oh, just leave me alone."
No, Howard's in the bin, and he jumps out of the bin, and he says, "No more, Mr. Nice Duck." And
here we go. So yeah, he's from New York as well. Like his accent is New York.
Yeah. Howard just beats these guys up.
No, he does.
He beats them up, and he helps her. And she helps him weirdly.
I think it's really funny because there's a bit where as he jumps out, obviously there's a little duck has just jumped out, human duck. So the guys are sort of there, and they're like, "Are you seeing this, man?" And this mate goes, "I've had too much toot." I'm like,
they really try and chuck in as much as they can.
But I think that's more of an understandable reaction to a human duck asking you for a fight.
The music in this scene is really Indiana Jones. It feels super Indiana Jones. I really like it. The guys run away. The girl is a bit freaked out by Howard, but she thanks him anyway, and then she tells him he's in Cleveland on Earth. So that's where.
She's like, "Where am I?" It's like, "Diva." He's like, "But what planet?" Then she goes,
"You don't know?"
It is. I think. I'm pretty sure you'd know.
It's real. She's kind of on. She leaves, thanks Howard again, and now he's kind of left alone in the rain, kind of feeling sorry for himself a little bit. Some nice music plays.
Did you actually listen to the song though? So it's like, it's so on the nose. It's pretty much just being like, two lonely people, like, what are they gonna do? Like, maybe they should get together. It's pretty much like, I can't remember the exact lyrics, but it's very much like, it's just basically being like, these two people, they should get together, they're gonna be really lonely if they're on their own. It's quite a nice little touch, right? But
I quite like the music though, I'll be honest. It's pretty good, and like the music, not the score, the actual soundtrack is real good, which we discover later. It's real good. She asks Howard if he's got a place to stay. He says no, and she kind of just goes, like, come with me. It's real weird. She's just met.
Big his head is.
Yeah, huge head.
He has a ginormous.
So I'm assuming underneath he's got like some sort of helmet type thing on.
Yeah, because it's sort of back, isn't it? It's almost like a bit of an alien sort of shaped head, where it's like like front on it looks quite normal, but then when you look at the back, it's ginormous.
Yeah,
it's a really long thing. Like
So her band is called the Cherry Bomb, and they're waiting for like a big break. They're really hoping to kind of make it, and her name is Beverly. They get to her apartment, and downstairs is like real messy, but then they go upstairs and it's kind of nice. And she offers him milk because she doesn't know what a duck drinks, and he goes, "How about a beer?"
It's so weird though, isn't it? Like when have you ever tried a duck milk?
I mean, it's totally
just
bizarre.
odd, from a bowl as well. She's literally like offering him like a bowl of milk to lick out of, like, and it's just
instead,
like,
which is, classic. It's just so weird, and like they really tried to shove as much in, like the drugs, the alcohol, the sexual stuff. It's just they're really going for it.
She has this like weird duck bag as well. For some reason keeps quacking.
He looks at it, he's like, oh.
For some reason every time he picks it up, quack quack all the time. Like, it's so strange, man.
She's real nervous around Howard, obviously, because she's never met a talking duck. Makes sense.
Yeah, understandable.
Howard gets like these weird like horror film flashbacks of going through those doors and seeing the game.
Yes, he like he like sits on the armchair again.
He's like, whoa!
The poor boy's got like PTSD. Like he just starts like shaking in the corner.
We found out that Howard the Duck went to med school to become a plastic surgeon. Yeah, I don't know why that had to be dropped in it, but it turns out he's actually a songwriter.
Yeah, there's a lot. So he did that. Then he ended up being, I think he was like a songwriter. He ended up in the band, Howard and
it was something, I can't remember.
Love Hearts or something like that it was?
Heartbreakers,
like yeah. So he's like, I used to do that along with construction.
Yeah.
So he just used to do that. And then he sold out to some corporate job now.
Yeah.
So it's a bit, what?
Yeah, no.
Interesting life.
It's such a bizarre conversation. She tells him he's probably here for some like greater reason. There's got to be a reason why he's here. Howard falls asleep, and like Beverly like touches his face feathers. and tucks him in.
Yeah, this is the first sort of sign of this is getting romantic.
Yeah.
And
and they've been together for like 2 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, so she finds his wallet on the floor, and she opens it, and a picture of Howard comes out with like 2 girls on it. He's like chilling
on the beach, like.
Then you see him with his family, nice picture, and then there's just an open condom, not even in a wrapper. No. It's just
like Howard.
And she says, "What am I gonna do with you, Ducky?"
I know, it's really so. Yeah, Ducky is the pet
name for Howard.
But yeah, he also had like the little duck dollar bills.
Yeah, and that, it's like the card that it's like. Oh,
it's a bit strange how like the Duck Planet is almost identical to ours,
but just with duck stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's kind of obvious they wouldn't put too much effort into it because you don't see the planet. But
with the language, with the place, with the dollar bills, like everything is Earth.
It's so funny. Yeah. She puts Howard in a bin bag to take him out in public, and are they in the taxi? And he's just kind of like wiggling around in this bin bag.
I know, the taxi driver's freaking out. So yeah, she knows like a doctor, doesn't she? She knows like a scientist,
and it's Tim Robbins. He did the Shawshank Redemption after this, or was it just before? No, it was after this. He did this, and then he did the Shawshank Redemption. It blows my mind. His name is Filsey.
Dr. Phil.
Yeah, Beverly takes Howard to Filsey to do some tests, and it turns out he's just kind of like an assistant. He's an assistant.
Did you hear his last name?
No.
Dr. Phil Blumbert. Blumbert.
Nice.
Dr. Blumbert.
Dr. Blumbert. That's so
but
funny.
Yeah, he is insane.
Yeah, no, he's an absolute nutcase. Like, yeah.
The whole film, he is just like he is.
He's
like,
always on this level up here. Like
he's like a crazy scientist. He's like he's making Frankenstein, isn't he? He is.
Yeah, he wants to be the scientist. Like at this point, Howard is wearing like I think it's Beverly's hoodie. He really looks like Donald Duck. Yeah, super Donald Duck.
He does it as well, doesn't he?
Yeah,
you notice Dr. Phil.
Yeah, he talks to him with the
so he speaks to him first. And he's just like, "Hello, can you understand?" And then like obviously he's looking at it, just goes,
"Yeah."
Oh, it's just like so funny. Yeah.
He tries to see if Howard has any like superpowers. He doesn't.
Super strength.
Yeah,
lasers.
he's like, "Bend this thing," and no. Yeah. Howard's like he's got a real short fuse with this science. He's like all the time.
He's understandable.
Yeah, he's always just like they're always shooting back and forth at each other. It's pretty fun. Filsey basically says there's another world out there, but instead of monkeys being part of the evolution, it's like a duck evolution chain.
Yeah, so I think it's sort of like explained that evolution's the same everywhere. It's just they've evolved from ducks.
Yeah, so I'm assuming there'd be another planet with like lobsters or something. In that regard. Howard goes outside, some woman absolutely freaks it and just like runs away. Some of the reactions are amazing from these random people. Yeah. And then Howard says he's pissed off because he got blasted from his homeworld. Like that's how he says it. He's angry. Again, they try to put so much edge into this film.
But I think this is kind of the like underlying story of this film where it's him being like, you're all treating me like a freak.
Yes.
And this is horrific for me. Like, do you know what I mean?
So at this point, I'm really into it. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, no, same. Yeah, I agree. It is kind of like, I mean, there is this underlying story of like they're treating him differently because he's a bit weird. Even though everyone in this film are freaks, like this whole city is mental. But yeah, so there's a lot of that, isn't there? Of the sort of like people are terrified.
Yeah, because obviously Bev's taking him straight to a scientist, and everyone's like beating him up and trying to kill him.
And there's like a guy that eats this sandwich,
but he stares at him.
Yeah.
So Howard tells Beverly to leave him alone. Doesn't need her sympathy or charity.
Yeah.
The man with the sandwich is just staring at him the whole time. It's really funny, actually. Howard says he needs to find some food, shelter, and a job. So he's kind of have to live here at this point. And Howard's dressed like this like fancy toddler in like a black cap.
It's so weird.
So bizarre.
So he ends up at like a job centre.
Basically. He's dressed like this like child. It's hilarious.
This woman
is incredible. She tells him she's got just the position for him, and then she turns around and like bends over to grab something, and he like goes for her ass.
Yeah, he goes to bite her ass. But there's like, it's before this where she's basically just been like, you ain't fooling me. You're just trying to do this to be controversial. Like, I'll get you a job anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like kids these days do anything to not work.
Yeah. She's
so
funny.
It's so funny.
Yeah, so he goes to bite her. It's really weird. Yeah. And then he ends up working at like this hot tub place.
What is this?
And everyone is like kissing each other, and you can obviously see like someone's back in each shot, and they're like rubbing.
Yeah, it's almost like a sort of hot tub brothel of sorts.
Yeah, it reminded me of John Wick. You know, they're
yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? I think they're couples that seem to go there.
Either that or they're just meeting up there.
But yeah, it's very much insinuated that like you go to this place, you get in a hot tub and just have sex.
Yeah, that is
basically.
This is Howard the Duck. Like,
It's
this is just
odd.
what happens in Howard the
And
Duck.
he's just collecting towels, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like giving out towels and collecting them. So he sparks up a cigar, and the boss here is like going nuts because he said there's a water jet out of order and Howard needs to go fix it.
The boss is gross.
He's disgusting. It's all
He's
greasy and
just, yeah,
slimy.
with big glasses all steamed
Hey.
up and a big sort of, he's awful.
He chucks Howard into the hot tub where there's people rubbing again, just rubbing. Like, you know what I mean?
They didn't react.
No,
The managers walked in
Yeah.
with a duck, a human duck, thrown him in there, and they just carry on.
rubbing.
And yeah, obviously Howard can't swim.
No, yeah, that's the
This
big
is-
joke of the film. He
yeah.
can't swim.
Yeah.
As a duck can't swim.
Yeah.
A very original joke, you know what I mean? He quits his job after about like 30 seconds. He's gone.
The way he quits though is good, isn't it? So I think the manager ends up in like a mud bath bit.
Yes,
of some
I
sort.
think the jet like breaks or something, and like I want to say there's like the sewer tunnels or something comes out because it just turns to, like, mud. It's kind of
Yeah, so he's like trying to fix that, and then Howard just like opens the door and just like slides in and headbutts him
Yeah.
into the thing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
really weird. Then and then just goes, I quit. And
Yeah,
that's
and he
it.
just quits, and that's it.
Yeah.
So Howard's getting off a bus, and like everyone's like laughing at him.
This was weird
Yeah, this was weird.
because like obviously he's got on the bus, he sat on the bus, and then he's got off. But
Surely
as-
they would have been on the bus like ha 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 the whole time.
Yeah, for some reason, as he's getting off, everyone's like sort of like, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
they all get
and then
him,
they're
like,
all,
whoa,
yeah. And then they start mocking him as he's leaving the bus. It just
Yeah.
felt a bit like, did you not notice
Did you see him the whole?
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I'm thinking is maybe he was wearing like a hoodie, but I can't remember what he's wearing as he gets off the bus.
He's in his, I think he's in like a suit of some
Yeah,
sort. I
he's
think.
not covering
Yeah,
his big
no,
beak.
no,
is
no.
he? We find out then from TV that it's duck hunting season.
Yeah.
Because of course it is. You know what I mean? And Howard starts freaking out, thinking he's going to get shot.
Yeah, so we've got like a few shots. There's like duck hunting. There's a duck being cooked.
Yeah, Looney Tunes is
Daffy
on.
Duck's on as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
It's absolutely
Yeah.
wild. He's back at the club from the beginning because Cherry Bombs are playing again. So I'm assuming they just play all the time.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
their
This
thing.
seems to be the thing. Yeah.
And again, banger of a
Oh,
song.
yeah, yeah.
Their band is awesome. I
Well,
love
it
it.
is. It's a bit more of a chilled one, isn't it? When
Yeah.
they come in. Yeah, it's very 80s like.
Yes, so
Great.
he gets in somehow this time, doesn't get ID,
Yeah.
then just walks in.
That was weird, wasn't it? Because obviously the first night the bouncer chucked him out immediately for being a child, and yeah, he just strolled in
Yeah.
this night, and nobody bats an eyelid.
I spoke too soon. The song they were doing was okay. It was calm, like you said. She then says it's far too depressing
Yes.
for the vibe, and that they do this upbeat song,
Yeah.
and it is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I love it. The manager of the band is like this mega sleazy guy, and he says he's not paying her because Bev hasn't put out for him.
Yeah, this is a bit weird, isn't it? 'Cause there's a bit where these sort of random guys are just giving him money.
You know who they are?
Who?
One of them's Iggy from Mario.
Oh my god, it is. Yeah.
A lot of these films just have connections to the Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah.
that's sort of-
But yeah, it's never really explained, is it? They just sort
they're
of
like his goons, I assume, maybe?
yeah, but they seem to be like the band, so they know he's the manager, and they like have this for the girls,
Mm.
and then he's sort of like, oh yeah, and then yeah, he does the whole like she's not putting out.
Yeah, and they try to tackle some like social commentary issues, like not putting out for a band manager, not getting paid too
Yeah.
money. They're trying, but it's just coming across as weird,
Oh.
as real creepy and just real weird. Howard tells him he wants the girls' money to pay him. Basically, Howard's just like doing stuff. He's just doing side quests at this point.
Yeah, he is.
He threatens the band manager, and Howard gets like thrown across the bar by the one from Mario. Just
Yeah.
absolutely whips him across the bar. It's pretty funny. Howard gets up and like walks towards him. It's real weird.
Yeah.
And the manager just goes to stab Howard with a knife.
Yeah,
and
so
screams,
he
"Duck
comes-
kebab." Duck kebab.
So yeah, he comes back. He bottles one of them.
yeah.
So Howard comes back, grabs a bottle, bottles one. I think he like punches another one,
Mhm.
and then he gets like pinned down and attempted to murder.
To murder, yeah. And then
Yeah.
Howard somehow gets the knife and like they flip ways.
Yeah.
And Howard puts the knife through the manager's earring
Oh,
and then goes
so
to pierce the other ear.
Yeah, it's so good though because there's a bit where you see it and he's like screaming. The
Yeah.
guy is. And he's like, "Oh my god!" Like,
Yeah.
and then it comes down and he's just got this like big hooped earring.
Yeah.
He's just stuck
Yeah.
in the earring. It's so funny.
It
But
is
yeah,
Super
he
silly.
kind of like convinces him here, then doesn't he?
He
Stuff
basically
like
says
that.
like he's not the manager anymore, basically, and takes the money from the band. And then I said one of the thugs is in the Mario movie. He just loves bad culture.
Yeah.
Howard is backstage with the band trying to find Beverly, and he apologizes for arguing with him earlier.
Did you hear what he said when he left though? When he left the bar, so obviously like all the people are sort of like a bit freaked out.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Hey, you want to get out of my way? I got space rabies."
Oh yeah. Go on.
And then one of the guys, I think it was Iggy, was just ends up being like, "Space rabies. Have you heard about that on the news?" And he starts going, yeah, like leaving. But yeah, then he ends up backstage then.
So yeah, he's backstage and he's going to apologise to Bev. And then Filzy's there too because he's seeing one of the girls in the band.
Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? Because this is where he knocks on the door and they're like, oh, Howard, like the band the band haven't met Howard.
No.
And like he comes in, they're like, oh yeah, she spoke about you, but none of us believed it. And it's a bit like genuinely, if you came in, you're going, oh yeah, I just be spending the night with a human duck. Like, I'm not your friend anymore, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're not talking about that, no way.
But he turns up, they're like, oh yeah, no,
he's real, Howard. Like,
how's it going?
Yeah.
Odd. Yeah.
He sees like a box of pizza and he's like, what's this? And I assumed that in the Duck Planet they'd have pizza because it doesn't have a duck topping on it. You know what I mean? That was just something I clicked and I was like, that's really weird. Filzy says tonight is the night he's going to get concrete evidence as to why Howard is here. He's got a phone call and the girlfriend says, and he says to the girlfriend, sorry, no sex right now. I'm working.
It feels so weird.
This one is like obsessed with sex. It's literally so weird.
I think even when he comes in, he's like, sorry I missed the concert. I'm just here to watch you get undressed.
Yeah, no, that is exactly what he says.
You're like, what?
This film is obsessed. Phil. We love Phil. Howard gives the band the money, and it's like this much money. Yeah, it's like literally about $30. I know. It's so funny. And then Phil takes a feather from Howard's tail to do some tests on, and Howard's like, oh, you're real.
Yeah.
So Howard's back at Beverly's apartment now, and he's like playing the keyboard. And he starts playing some tune, and he starts like shaking it. He's like real going.
Twerking, and he's got this like sort of 80s synth beat going on, and he just starts like twerking. Yeah. And then she goes out the shower and sort of sees him, and it's a bit so like,
he's like a tiny guy. He goes through like this, and she's like, he said he had a band in high school, Howard and the Heartbreakers.
Yes.
So Bev asks Howard to be the band manager, and he says no, but clearly he's gonna be the band manager. This was so weird. This whole scene is so bizarre.
So she's fresh out the shower, and I mean she basically has like a really thin dressing gown, like a sort of crop top and just pants. Yeah, just like her ass is basically out.
Yeah, and she like leans into her bed. She gets into bed like as if this is the bed. Her head goes here, and she like gets in. It's just her ass on the screen. That's all it is. She's just and Howard says about being the band manager, he's not going to do it, and then he goes, although I have started to appreciate the human female form. It's so weird. It's
so weird.
Oh, it's bizarre. And he like whistles at her when he does that. Super, super weird. Yeah. But she loves it, and she invites him into bed to watch Letterman, which is like the talk show. And like I said, at this point, this is aimed at children. Yeah. This is an aimed at children movie. Bev says she can't find the right man, but Howard says she shouldn't be looking for a man, and she's like into it. And then he's like, I'm joking.
He starts doing like the little crawling thing up her arm and all this. So he's like going in, and then she starts reciprocating, and he's panicking.
He's like, I'm joking. I'm tired. I got a headache.
Yeah. And then she starts like rubbing his chest. Yeah. And then like the feathers on his head just.
My favorite line is when he goes, wait, and he goes, I'm tired. It's so good. Like, for as weird as this scene is, I find it absolutely hilariously funny. I love it. He goes, I've got a headache. And she goes to kiss him. She kisses him on the beak.
Yes, it's like it's mega uncomfortable. It's like mega uncomfortable. Like she sort of reciprocates, and then she's like, "Oh, Ducky, I'm only joking. Like we'll just have a kiss." And then you have the shot to do.
It's like a scream, and he's clearly like a doll, and she just
kisses the beak. Like, but I mean, obviously this whole scene is the Oscar-worthy moment. It's what this film is kind of known for.
But for as much as I cared about it, it's a lot funnier than people give it credit for. I found it hilarious.
No, it is. Yeah, they do it well too.
Wrong for this kind of film. Like, it should not even exist in this kind of film. But it's here, so you've got to appreciate it for being here. And I found it absolutely hilarious. I'll be honest.
It is. They do it well. It's not as sexual as I think people make out.
No. And I just, again, it's Howard going, I'm tired, I got a headache. It's so funny.
It is funny seeing him going from the sort of like...
He's like macho and loving it. It's like,
as soon as it's reciprocated, he absolutely poops his pants.
I thought it was absolutely hilarious. But then Filzy just comes into her apartment, just walks in with two other scientists.
Yeah, this was creepy.
Bev and Howard are still in bed together, and then they're just kind of looking at him for a minute, and it's real weird. And no one it's kind of like, oh.
I think they do like they do quite question it. They are I think one of them ends up being like, this is really interspecies thing, or this is really weird. Like, this is odd. Yeah. One of them does bring it up. But there's just three guys stood there staring at them
over a
in
girl in
bed.
bed. It's real weird. That's
Really
weirder, I'd say, than the whole scene.
Yeah.
One of the scientists says he can explain how Howard got here. So this is a big dump of information.
Yeah.
So they're doing a science experiment, testing the gases around the constellation of stars. And they lost control of the machine, and they accidentally hit Howard's duck planet.
Yeah.
So it hit his planet, only hit him, and took him.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
No.
But, that's the explanation.
Yeah. And sorry, I was going to say, and somehow one feather.
Yes. Fell in their lab. So they knew something happened, but they didn't know what.
Yeah.
Yeah, real weird. I just don't understand how it just worked to Howard. How did it literally target him?
Yeah. And obviously we have more stuff happen later, but
Yeah.
this is the only time where that tractor beam doesn't go straight to the lab.
Yeah.
Like, it seems to be, for some reason, this tractor beam pulled him into
To the
the planet
machine.
and threw him off.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, everyone else seems to be pulled to where the actual lab
Yeah,
is.
it's super odd. It makes no sense.
No.
So they said they're going to go to the lab so they can reverse the test and send Howard home.
Yeah, so basically they think if they can drag him out of the planet, they can just push him back in.
It's at this point where they kind of try and put a plot in, and I don't like it. I'd rather this one just kind of be in a madcap, crazy adventure.
Yeah, for me, it felt like they did the start, and then they kind of went, how
Where's
are we
the
going
plot?
to explain this?
Yeah.
So I think it's their kind of way of being like, oh, we kind of need to...
Yeah, and I think the rest of the film kind of starts to dwindle a little here, because the plot line for the machine in this, it's not interesting.
No.
It's not that interesting at all.
No, again, I think it was there to get him onto the planet and for... And we'll find out at the end. I think that's kind of what the lab is there for,
100%.
rather than it being much of a point to it.
Yeah, so the scientist basically says something like, if he goes tonight, they can link the two worlds and there'll be a connection between them. So I assumed from that, Howard could go back and forth.
Yeah, so
almost like a bridge.
Yeah, like in Thor, basically.
Yes.
So I think they would expect it to be where, there's a link there, so if they want to,
Yeah, they could just come back and forth. So they're going to go ahead with a reverse move, and Bev is packing some stuff for Howard to take back home. She's very clearly madly in love with this duck within 10 minutes. Together, they probably spent about half an hour together in total.
No, this would have been about 2 days.
Yeah, but he walked off for a bit. Obviously, he was doing his own job and stuff. So realistically, they've maybe spent 2 hours together.
I think it's probably a bit more than that, but it's not.
Yeah,
because obviously they would have been there the whole night before.
And
then the whole evening. So, I mean, 12 hours max.
That's it.
But
and she's madly.
No, he is.
Howard tells Bev that he's not very sentimental, and he says it's making him hard for him to go back home. So he's clearly in love with her too. Yeah. It's supposed to be kind of cute, but it's kind of just a bit odd.
Yeah, so there's a bit in this. Is this when they've been the back of the van and they're sort of getting taken to the lab?
Yes. Well, I think we're still in the apartment here, but yeah.
Because a bit there where she sort of boops him on the nose, and then he goes a ruff like a dog. And it's a bit.
It's real weird. We get to the lab where the machine is, where they can link it, and then apparently the machine has exploded again. So the machine's just broken.
Yeah, it's weird. They sort of so I think there was three doctors, wasn't there? And I think one's gone straight.
Yes.
So Phil and the other doctor have sort of gone, they get to the thing, the security's not there.
Yeah, the different scientist basically says that they shouldn't tamper with the universe.
Yeah, there's alarms going off, and apparently then Dr. Jennings has been took the blast.
Yeah, so everything's sparking and smoking, and he has vanished from the explosion.
Yeah, so something went wrong. It came down, and the blast hit just Dr. Jennings.
Yeah, it's real weird. So they've got Howard in holding for some reason. And they're searching him, and this is real weird.
This is uncomfortable.
This is such a bizarre scene. Again, this one doesn't get spoken about, and I was watching it what?
Yeah.
So they basically start doing almost
police,
there's a police have him, and they almost start doing a cavity search on him.
Yeah, so the police don't have to interrogate, so obviously something's gone wrong.
Yeah.
And there's a chief guy who's sort of... So Howard comes around the corner, they're like, oh, it's a duck. And they're like, oh, right. So they think he's... Obviously, they think he's a child of some sort. So they just, they start trying to undress him.
They start trying to take off his suit, trying to find zips and Velcro.
Yeah.
Because they think he's not a duck.
I mean, this is very much police brutality.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. They're trying to tackle genuine issues in Howard the Duck film.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
He's wearing underwear for some reason?
Yeah, but there's no zip or Velcro because he is a duck. You know what I mean?
So, I kind of want to see the duck penis, though, I'll be honest.
Yeah, that would have been...
Just out of curiosity. Yeah. We've had duck boobs, so why not?
Why not? Yeah,
but I found it a bit odd that he was wearing boxers.
Yeah.
for some reason. But yeah.
Yeah, so he gets
the
booked for being an illegal alien.
Great.
Another thing they're trying to tackle here as well. And Bev is like fuming. Bev steals the officer's gun. Now she's committed a felony here. She is going to jail, whether she likes it or not.
Yeah.
But Howard gets the keys for the handcuffs, and they like leave. Howard is labeled as extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
And the chief says he's on a shoot to kill basis.
Yeah. So yeah, they have the police guy's taken away, and then Howard kind of turns around, like attacks the policeman. She basically holds the policeman up.
They have committed 2 felonies here.
Yeah, they escape, and then so but did you hear the explanation though? Like, so obviously there's one of the chiefs is sort of like just explaining what Howard is, and he's sort of like he's like 3 foot something, blah blah. Never once mentions he's a duck.
No.
Which just really cracked me up. Like they got this explanation: he's armed, he's dangerous, he's this, he's that, but never just gone. We're looking for a small duck.
You will see him.
Yeah. But now he's going to shoot him.
Yeah. So now we're back with Dr. Jennings.
Yeah, he's fine.
And he's all fried. He's like messed up because the machine obviously kind of hit him, and he says he's got a real bad headache.
Yeah.
So Bev, Dr. Jennings, and Howard escape in the car, and they leave the lab. They go. Apparently, an evil of your son.
Yeah. Sorry. So when I think they escape, and then the police realize and go to pursue, but there's one. So you've got like the sort of chief of police guy.
Yeah.
And you've got a few. The police are odd. Like the policemen, like the chief's a bit odd, but the policemen. So one guy comes up and he's sort of like, do you want me to go? And he goes, yes, sir, and does like this weird like jumping like hop thing, and then like runs into his car. And there's I think the other one then kind of goes, we've got a duck hunt. And the way they go, they just they're really odd.
Yeah.
But so he's we learn more about Dr. Jennings.
Yeah, so there's like an evil has landed from the explosion, and the world is in great danger.
Yeah.
And Jennings says he feels like he's transforming inside. He says there's like a monster inside him.
Yeah. There's a really awkward line from Howard in here, though.
Go on.
So he's kind of going through the changes, and then he's like, "You having a sex change?" I was like, oh.
That's what I mean. They real throw in anything edgy they can.
Oh dear, Howard.
Like Jennings is driving the car at this point, and he's like losing control of the car because obviously he's like transforming. They almost drive through the restaurant window, but they stop like just in time.
I've noticed this is like a little bit of a trope with bad films where somebody's going through like a mad time driving a car and somehow just never puts on the brakes.
Yes,
at any point. He just kind of keeps, and he's just driving, and they're like, hit the brakes, and he's at this point he's still there.
Yeah.
So you'd have thought he'd just gone, I'm having a mad time here, guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to drive? But no, just keeps. But inches from this diner.
So apparently the monster inside is like taking over, and we're in this restaurant. Did you see the restaurant?
Did you hear the line?
No.
So Jennings, as they hit it, just goes, "I'm dead," and then he turns into
Okay. I didn't.
Yeah. He just goes, "I'm dead," and then the voice changes into the sort of like.
I never remember the actor's name, but he's great. He's obviously from Beetlejuice.
Oh,
I love him. I love him so much. He's obviously in Ferris Bueller's Day Off as well. He's a real fun actor of the 80s, or was. So the restaurant they get to. Did you notice it? What? It's part sushi, part Italian, part Cajun.
Yeah, it took me a while to sort of realise what was going on.
3 different titles on the name.
They kind of go in, and it's very much an American style diner. The place
but
itself.
Then the sushi people,
But then, they're also wearing like the Japanese sort of like headbands as well, isn't it? And I was just a bit,
And then there's all just a load of like redneck guys inside, and like hunters and that.
Yeah, it's
real
odd.
Weird. Jennings is doing this real like silly voice, but I love it. It's real good. It's fun. So I can't remember how it comes up, but he says he's going to kill maybe Jennings. I can't remember who it is.
Yeah, so they sort of get in, and then they find the totally radical waitress.
Yeah.
Howard, I want to punch him here because he basically goes in, he starts whistling at her.
Yeah.
Hey, lady,
I
need a beer. Yeah. And then she comes and she's like, "Oh, what's happening, dudes? How's it going?" You know, she got this like real like weird woman, and then the demon sort of just like coming up with just really weird stuff. And he's just sort of like, "I'm gonna take over the universe." I'm gonna do all these like really weird stuff. And she's sort of a bit like, right, okay, what's going on here? But I think they both kind of threaten to kill each other.
Yeah, but Howard's been talking about murder for most of this film. It's real weird. So apparently Jennings is now one of the dark overlords of the universe.
Yeah.
The overlord says that during the explosion he entered Jennings' body and disguised his true, hideous, and revolting self.
Yeah.
So, food comes out. I can't even remember. They ordered like specials or something.
Special,
They come out, and it's fried eggs. And Howard just absolutely freaks it. And like, I don't really understand why. I do, but he's like, "What do you think I am? Some sort of cannibal?"
Yeah, I mean, it is. it's pretty. I think if you think of it from his world, that's eating children.
It's so funny.
But yeah, no, it is hilarious.
He's like, I just want a beer.
Yeah, it's more hilarious than knows what eggs are.
Yeah, no, I know.
So there must be some sort of eggs.
He's like pushing them away.
Yeah.
Honestly, I found Howard absolutely hilarious. I'll be honest. Jennings' eyes start glowing blue, and he's like moving stuff, like saucers and stuff go flying around. He's getting all these powers. He said he's going to use the machine to bring in more Dark Overlords. From whatever planet.
Sorry, did you hear there was a line so funny from the radical waitress? So when Howard's like pushing everything, she just goes, hostility is like a psychic boomerang. What?
She's an odd character.
What?
She's in there for like weirdly too long in this whole scene. It's so
really
weird.
odd.
So yeah, he says he's going to use the machine to bring in the other Dark Overlords. Howard goes to take the card key, I think they call it.
Yeah,
it feels wrong. It feels like it should be key card, but I think they call it card key.
Yeah, there's some sort of key thing that he's got to bring in
to sort the machine, isn't it?
Yeah, to bring in the rest. If you want to bring in the rest of the demons.
Yes, but they both like reach for it. They both get like electrocuted. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
There's like a load of thugs and hunters come to this restaurant, and they kind of all start fighting.
Yeah, so I think, was it at this point that he blows up, Jennings uses his lasers for the first time, and I think it blows up the ketchup and the mustard?
Yeah, so he's kind of, it's almost like just moving them, and then they explode.
Yeah, so he's got like these weird laser things that sort of come out the side, and then they kind of like concentrate in, and then he explodes the mustard and the ketchup. Yeah, he sort of like uses electrics, which is his first showing of, he's got like powers of some sort. And then, they just start like hounding, what's her name?
Beverly,
yeah. Again. And like taking the mick out of little Howard.
Yeah.
No,
it is really...
they call him ventriloquist, don't they?
Yeah, this is the ventriloquist, and this is just the dummy.
Yeah, they seem to think... This whole thing's funny, because we've got Howard, who's like a speaking duck. You've got like Jennings who's like all... Yeah.
And he's looking real rough at this point.
Oh, no.
Man's like sweating, he's like losing hair. He's real rough. So they take Howard and like go to put him on the... like. They go to basically cut him up. They start chucking vegetables.
Yeah, so they start... I think initially he comes on to Bev, and then Howard's like, no.
Yeah.
And then they end up having like a little fight of some sort, where sort of like Howard starts throwing cream pies at them, and then he's doing his like spinning around sort of thing. He's hanging on to something, and he's spinning around, like kicking them and stuff like that. And then, they kind of eventually catch him.
Yeah.
And take him into the back.
They're carrying him, and Bev goes... That's my boyfriend, and they all like turn around. Every single person in that restaurant turns around to look at her. They're like,
I think if one just guy just goes, "That's weird."
Just the bit when they've got Howard on this thing and they're like preparing him, they're like chucking lettuce and like seasoning him.
They're seasoning me.
It's incredible. Jennings is like blue, glowing and like moving stuff with his mind. Starts electrocuting the gas.
Yeah, she basically is like, Jennings, save him. And then she's like, he's got the remote. And then Jennings ends up going.
And he starts moving like knives, the butcher's cleaver, and that starts
flying around the place. Yeah.
And then he's starting fires with his eyes. Like, it's crazy, but he's pretty cool. I kind of like him.
Yeah, he does look like one of the ghosts from Ghostbusters at this point. Because he basically starts turning like white. So like, it's him, but he's almost
like blowing up. But his face is kind of white. He's like throwing out all these mad quips as he's doing all this. It's pretty fun. Jennings stops Howard and Bev from leaving the restaurant, and then he picks Howard up with his powers, so he kind of lifts him up. So he wants the code key. He starts spinning Howard, and Jennings gets the code key. So
he kind of beats him a bit, doesn't he? So there's a bit, I think, with the redneck sort of start running at him, and he sort of just starts like throwing people. So at this point, his powers are there, and so he starts throwing people, and then he kind of has some of the angel starts like bumping his head off the top and like shaking him back and forth until the key falls out.
Jennings takes Beverly and leaves the restaurant without Howard, nearly running him over in the process.
Yeah.
Howard is now on a mission to find Beverly, and this is where I kind of got bored from this scene. It was where I started to get a bit bored. The Dark Overlord basically says he's trying to like impregnate her to bring in the other Overlords.
Yeah.
Like, he needs her body.
Yeah, it's like I think he says he wants to grow the demon inside of her.
Yes, real.
It's a bit odd. He keeps doing this weird like all the time, like this weird like whining noise as well.
And then like he gets his big long tongue and he like plugs it into the cigarette lighter.
Yeah, and then starts like
getting
off. Yeah, he's literally there though. He's just like he's really getting off on this thing. Like it's a bit. Yeah, so he basically leaves and steals like a truck, doesn't he? So he's in like a big.
Yeah, it's one of the hunters' trucks for sure. Yeah. So then we see Filzy in the back of a police car.
Yeah,
I don't know
so
when he got arrested, but yeah, it was clearly at the lab earlier. But
he's bouncing though, isn't he? He's landed.
I'm back in the cop car.
I'm gonna get a criminal record.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then he looks over and there's like an animal display, and you see Howard just trying to fit in. It's really funny.
Yeah.
This whole conversation they have is really weird together. But we see then Jennings is taking Bev to a nuclear power plant because he wants more power.
Yeah, so they basically just jump out though, doesn't he? So there's like a silly bit where sort of Dr. Phil kind of climbs in the front, throws out the window, and then Howard just opens the door.
Yeah.
But yeah, these police are rubbish.
Yeah, no,
so
he
yeah,
just escapes.
They basically walk on a cordon in, and they sort of find this like weird flying device.
Flying machine, yeah.
So it's nighttime when this happens.
Yes.
And they're basically going to fix this machine.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at this point as well, he's still handcuffed. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's handcuffed for the whole. This whole now last scene, he's handcuffed.
So yeah, they're going to fix this machine up and go and save them in this plane.
Mm-hmm.
So
but by the time they fix it, it's day, and then they're trying to take off in this plane to go find Beverly and Jennings. It's broad daylight.
It's really weird. Out. So yeah, that's what I mean. Like, because there's a bit when they get the power plant, Bev is fast asleep, which I thought was a bit like. Surely you'd be a little scared.
Surely you'd be terrified.
Yeah, but she's scary guy. But yeah, so they spent the whole night fixing this. The police are there.
Yeah.
I mean, they are round the corner.
Yeah.
They're not.
It's like a barn type thing.
So the police are here, and they're about 20 yards away. Like, fixing this, they're going to be building, they're going to be fixing, they're going to be making noise over there. There's two people there, don't notice a thing until the thing actually starts
coming out, and they start trying to take off, and then the cops start following them.
Yeah.
Jennings has Bev, like, tied up in the power plant.
Yeah.
And he's making these weird noises at people. He's just, like, snarling at people.
Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? Because they sort of get there. So this flying device, is like a bike, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a bike with like a paragliding sort of wing on it, and it's sort of flies.
Yeah.
Like, it gets about...
It never fully takes off. They get into the sky.
It gets about 6 foot in the air when you're kind of just doing that. But yeah, they sort of get the power plant. For some reason, they're doing like a trip.
Yeah.
It seems to be they just got visitors at a nuclear power plant.
Yeah, no, I know. It does seem like a day in.
It was just sort of like, have a look at all the dangerous things, guys.
So Jennings breaks through like a gate in the plant to get to the power.
Yeah.
Bev manages to untie herself, and Jennings is like glowing red. Yeah. It looks pretty freaky.
No, he does,
The effects are pretty cool, to be honest. Howard and Philsey are still flying around. Police car goes flying into the water. This man's dead.
Yeah, because they're sort of like flying through a swamp area.
Yeah, and there's some duck hunters on the river.
Yeah.
And Howard kind of like purposely swoops down.
Yeah, because I think they go through so they end up it starts in the river, don't they? And then it comes back and they're like going through a town.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
And then there's like a big duck hunting sign.
Yes.
So they kind of go through it and then they flip the thing off. It lands, but it's again just so stupid because obviously it lands in the police car. They fly off into the river, and the police car just keeps driving.
He's like,
driving with this thing, and I mean, he drives at least like 100 foot on, and then just goes straight into the
river. Yeah, they knock off these duck hunters in the river. They all go flying.
Yeah, it's a nice little test.
It's fun. I like it. There's a queue at the road where Jennings is trying to get through. All the cars are getting tested for the emissions on their vehicles.
Yeah,
it's another thing they're trying to touch on. It's like global warming.
Yeah, it was a bit random. This wasn't it?
Yeah. So he kind of pushes the cars on because they're in this big lorry now. They're in this huge Optimus Prime truck, and he starts pushing them on, and then he fries one of the cops.
Yeah, so a cop comes over to have a go at him, and obviously he's been all weird, and then he sort of electrocutes this guy. And then just blows all the cars up.
Blows all of them up and just pushes on.
Yeah.
And just goes. And this scene is super unnecessary.
I know it is.
He's just nothing.
Yeah, he's just murdered a load of people. And off he goes about his business.
Yeah,
it's really odd.
It is so, and the police are still nowhere to be seen. It's really well. They're too busy chasing the duck.
Yeah.
So Howard and Philsey are getting shot up. The police are shooting up at them when they're flying.
Yeah.
And at this point, I didn't even realize Philsey is still handcuffed.
Yeah.
He's just there,
yeah.
Philsey ends up falling off, but holding on.
Yeah. So I think at this point they realize something falls off.
It's like an oil thing, isn't it? And they go to fix it.
Yeah, he's trying to fix it, and then he's sort of there, and then it's sort of all a bit clumsy. Yeah. But then there's a really weird bit in there where they're sort of coming down, and then there's a bridge, but they're going very obviously under this bridge, it's fine. And then he manages to get it back in. For some reason, Howard just does a loop-de-loop around it.
Philsey, I did a loop-de-loop.
No reason whatsoever. Philsey's hanging off the bottom, in the water. Yeah, it's just so weird.
I do think this plane scene goes on for far too long.
It's a huge scene.
It got to a point where they kept coming and going, and it got to the third point. I was like, just get to the facility. This was real boring.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like there's a lot of going back and forth between Jennings, how far he's pursuing, and the duck.
And I think at this point I realised I think the first half of this film really is a lot of energy, and then it kind of just goes plot. And I was just like, fair enough. Jennings and Bev have arrived at like a different facility now.
So before this we kind of get to so they get to it's the original facility.
It's the original
it's
facility
the lab
because everyone's moved on from it now.
Yeah, it's the lab. So I think, is this now, or do we get to the end of the duck hunt now?
Yeah, so the cops are like getting killed in this chase scene. They're absolutely flying. Some of these car stunts are like blowing up, and it's pretty cool, to be honest. The stunt work is really, really good. Yeah. But I said, this scene is going on for far too long for me, and the fact that it's 2 hours, they just really kept like extending and extending.
Yeah, I did like the end of it though. So they come to like a sort of train crossing as it's going down there, and then they freak out, and I think it's Howard who shouts, "The big, big choo-choo!" as they're going through.
You can just hear it in his voice as well.
So you got like these sort of as they go through, they manage to just get through like a certain bit where the wings come off.
Yeah.
And it just is into a car, which I mean, it probably should have been the entire time.
100%.
The plane bit was a bit odd.
Yeah, if this was a car chase, it probably would have.
It was a bit of a like pointless like plane.
Silly,
it was barely a plane. So,
Yeah.
And they managed to like basically fall into a fountain that happened to be right outside the lab.
Yeah, and Howard can't swim because he's not mentioned that again.
But again, the police just go as well.
Yeah.
When you think about it, they probably drove about 100 yards down the road from the train. And we never see the police again.
No,
so,
that's them done. Yeah, it's real weird. So they get to a facility where Jennings has Bev strapped to the machine to bring in the Overlords. He's tied all up.
Turned at this point.
Oh, yeah, no, he's a freak.
He literally looks like Quasimodo.
Yeah, he's all around.
Yeah, he's proper evil scientist now. Like.
Howard and Filsey are trying to find like a weapon or something to destroy Jennings with. Jennings inserts the code key into the machine, sets the coordinates to like bring these things into Bev's stomach.
It's odd.
So Filsey and Howard find this big, huge weapon. And apparently it can stop Jennings, but it hasn't been tested.
Yeah, this is odd.
He just breaks the lock, gets the machine.
Howard does his little spin kick to open the door. But it's a bit like this was a little bit of a plot point issue. Do you know what I mean? Because you kind of look at it, you're thinking, who would have planned for this?
Yeah.
Like, 100%. There's no reason for this to happen, but for some reason, Dr. Phil knew that there was this laser that could stop him.
Yeah, never tested it, but knows it can do the job.
Yeah, it was
it's just there, just outside the room.
Yeah, it was a bit odd. But yeah, this machine kind of looked like, is it Austin Powers when he infiltrates Dr. Evil's thing?
Yes.
And he's got like the car.
He's got the car, they've strapped the big weapon to it. So they come out in this thing, and he's got this big weapon. They kind of driving around and they
it's very clumsy, isn't it?
Jennings fires like a bolt of electric at Filsey and he deflects it with like this satellite dish.
Yes,
like Captain America.
So I think they're sort of still hiding in there, and then I think Howard hits the button. He's like, "What's this do?" And then there's a big crash.
Yeah,
and then he's sort of like he does look like Captain America. I think he saves Howard though. Doesn't he
does, but then like Phil's a bit fried from this. He's kind of being electrocuted as well. Yeah. Howard's driving the little car thing with the weapon strapped to it, and Jennings makes it like a tornado, like wind.
Yeah, he uses.
Howard's like driving, and he can't get any further, and he's just like this.
He like uses super breath.
Yeah,
he's just he just can't go anywhere. It's quite funny.
They do like a whole standoff kind of cowboy moment. It's pretty fun. Howard fires up the weapon. I really like Dr. Jennings / the Dark Overlord at this point. Looks awesome. He's like glowing bright red. He's got these wild eyes. It's cool. He fires all the powers at Howard while Howard shoots the weapon, and then it kind of he
kind of turns all like Super Saiyan at this point, doesn't he, Jennings? Like he's sort of like this whole power force comes from his body, and I think Howard replies with "eat beak" as he's driving towards him and shoots the laser.
They both kind of crash due to the powers, but we see Howard coming back trying to save Bev. Dr. Jennings seems normal because the Dark Overlord has come out.
Yeah, I said it's like going to a Grand Theft Auto barber at this point because he's literally gone from this like he's barely got any hair. He's got like his hair is all he looks awful.
And back to normal. Normal. And like his face is normal. He's been red, but other than that, he's
absolutely fine. Really weird.
So we find out the Dark Overlord is on the loose and not in Jennings. Beverly is freed, but Howard is trying to tell them that he can like see the Overlord. Is it the ones that are coming out, or is it the one that's in the lab?
Yeah, no. So there's so the Overlord's escaped, and I think it's Jennings who's like he's not gone.
Yes.
Basically, I think he says like he's not in my body anymore, but he's still here.
Yeah. And we see the Overlord, and he's a big stop motion monster.
Yes.
You think he's awesome? I think he
does.
Yeah, it looks incredible.
Well, what on earth? Though? I did not expect it.
No, I was expecting ducks.
Really?
I was expecting like an evil kind of duck, maybe like a cool with like a leather jacket on. It's like no, it looks like something out of RoboCop.
It looks, it does.
Terrifying.
It did look like something from like the original Godzilla sort of films, doesn't it? So it's sort of like a predator-looking like mouth.
So these big arms.
With big arms, but then it's got like a scorpion body.
Yeah.
So it jumps out, and then it's like this long sort of thing with a big stinging tail.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a cool design. I'll give them that. It's real cool, but I was not expecting it at all. As I said, I was expecting like big ducks. Like,
it came from nowhere. Because obviously he did say like it's the most grotesque ugly thing.
Yeah, I mean they didn't lie about that.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's wild. So he goes after Howard. Howard runs trying to hide.
Yeah.
The monster has like tentacles that come out of his hands.
Yes.
It's real weird and kind of gross.
Yeah.
They activate the laser, and he's trying to bring down more overlords. Yeah. He fires the laser, and it takes about 4 minutes. He's got a 4-minute arrival time.
Yeah, so there's a weird bit where he's hit the laser with one hand, he's got Howard in the other claw, and then he sort of like zaps Phil and Bev,
and they're kind of shaking.
With this sort of like, they're sort of like electrocuted, and they're just sort of there, like, and then Jennings is just sort of stood there the entire time. Like,
just coming back.
Everybody's had a mad time of it, but this was like, I think the only big issue is the fact that this whole computer system, the reason it's working is because it's all connected to Jennings.
Yeah.
The reason, like, when he took over as the Overlord, he could do anything because it's all connected to him. But at no point does he ever try to overwrite anything, even though he is Jennings. No, it's silly.
Howard manages to cut like a tentacle off, and it bleeds green.
Yeah, so I think Jennings throws him a little like chain, like a hacksaw sort of thing of some sort, and he sort of like, it
bleeds all green. It's like spurting out. It's pretty gross. But yeah, again, I just really love the design of the monster. For as much as I didn't expect it, I think it looks awesome.
It does.
Howard gets to drive in that little car thing again and runs over the monster's foot.
Yeah, the monster's kind of like, like it's quite funny. Yeah.
The monster's fired the laser. So he did it to Filzy and Bev, and they're doing that like kind of weird
they almost
thing.
look at this point.
Stuck.
Yeah, at this point they almost look like a dot-to-dot puzzle.
Yeah,
like they've just got these
like
weird, like they've got these like weird like white dots around them. Like it's a bit odd. But yeah, so the countdown's happening to lasers, so we're on about
a minute now, I'd say. We're maybe a minute and a half. Yeah. Howard hits the monster with the big weapon, and he just explodes. Yeah, and he's done.
Yeah, it is a bit underwhelming, but it's also it's quite a cool shot where he takes the weapon.
Oh yeah,
at this point, Howard's like holding the weapon and just
and then Bev and Filzy just come back to normal as well. So the monster's gone, and they're back to normal.
Yeah,
they just kind of fade back in, and that's it. Then.
He did scream like Tarzan though, did he?
Yes,
as he's doing it, like
30 seconds to arrival, and Howard needs to destroy the machine, but that means he won't be able to go home. Yeah, but he chooses to do it anyway and stops the Dark Overlords, where you can see them coming down from the planet, and there's like 3 more of these giants, and they look awesome.
Yeah,
they look super cool.
It's a really odd bit though, because generally in films it'll be like 1.
Yeah,
and they do it. It counts down.
It
goes 1. Complete. And then he blows it up and somehow manages to throw these things off.
I'm assuming they just like explode before they hit the machine or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, they should be there. Mm-hmm. So it was a bit of like okay. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I mean, the only thing I think is he just left them in space to explode, I guess. But it's a bit like, I don't know why they did the full countdown.
No, I know. You could have just got 1 or 2.
Yeah, it seems a bit odd.
The machine's destroyed. Howard got slightly crushed in the explosion. He's like hit on the car, and they think he's dead. He's kind of like this. Bev thinks he's dead. Yeah. He's not dead. He just he comes out acting like he's the monster. He's like, I'm not Howard anymore.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, and then that's it. And then Howard and Bev kind of hug, and then that's it. And then we're back at that venue where Cherry Bombs are performing again. Yeah, and the song is the Howard the Duck theme. It is amazing. I put it's in my Spotify playlist. Really? I literally love it so much. Good, I was their manager. Filzy's like working like technician.
Yeah, he's like the technician or something.
And he tells Howard to hit this thing so something happens on the stage. Yeah. Howard hits the wrong one and he ends up on the stage. Fireworks are going off. People are freaking out. It's like a cameo appearance is going on. They give Howard this tiny little red guitar and the man is just shredded. He's going where he's doing the leg like Angus Young from ACDC. And this whole scene's incredible. It is amazing. It's right up my alley.
Really good.
The music's great. The credits start rolling. Howard's still shredded, but don't worry, he's still going. And then, the credits roll, and he's just shredded, and it ends. And that is Howard the Duck.
Yeah, they do like a weird little dance. Did you see that right at the end? Where they kind of like shake their arms on the way out, and they kind of have a little, Ducky, as a little touch, and then, that is it. Howard the Duck.
I think it's an incredible ending.
Yeah.
I really love the ending. I think it really suits the tone of the film. So we'll jump into everything now, all the categories, and we'll go from there. Go. Okay, let's start with acting. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
No.
I was, this film is very notoriously known for being awful.
Yeah.
So I was expecting some real bad acting. It's all pretty solid.
Yeah, it's odd.
Oh no, it is odd, yeah.
Mm.
But it's for the performances themselves, like, they're pretty solid.
Yeah.
I really like Jeffrey Jones as Dark Overlord / Jennings. He's great. Yeah. I really like Leah Thompson, Beverly, and she stands by this film. She loves this film.
Really?
There was I read about it. There was a show in a few years back, and it was like this massive event, and she said it was even better than the original like red carpet for this film, and she loved it.
Good.
You know, most people kind of cut ties with it, but she really likes it, and I like to see that. I think Tim Robbins is pretty funny too as Phil Z. He's fine. He's just odd, but he's always up here. Do you know what I mean? The one I'm not 100% on is Howard.
Really?
His performance is kind of one level. He's always got that monotone kind of voice, and although he goes up and down a bit, it just, I think he could have had a sillier voice.
Okay.
Because he's such a wacky-looking character.
Yeah, there's a few bits where you shingle.
Yeah.
Like there's little.
They never go further enough with it, and I think they could have. I think it just could have been a bit wackier.
Yeah.
But other than that, nothing offensively bad. I enjoyed pretty much the main cast, so I'm going to go 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, really not that bad. I'll be honest.
I mean, it is weird. Like the acting is, for the most part, like really over the top, like really odd. I don't know how I feel about Dr. Phil, I'll be honest. Like, he's so mental, isn't he, throughout this entire thing? He's so, like, just up all the time. Like, everything's, like, really over the top. And as you said, it was so mad seeing him go from this to Shawshank Redemption. Straight after. Like, it's such a night and day. Like, it's complete opposites. I agree with Howard. I think it was an odd decision to make him... I know, like, by the sounds of it, especially in the MCU version now, where he is, like, that's kind of how he sounds. But I think it's just an odd choice to make him sort of like a New Yorker of sorts.
I said they could have gone really silly with it. Really, I think it would have got great in a 2-hour film. But I think it would have been more of a personality.
I think even if it just sort of like, like dropped it in a bit more.
Yeah.
So but it was. I pretty much agree with you with everything else, though. I think it is kind of crazy, bit over the top, very 80s.
Very.
But yeah, I agree, 6 out of 10.
Amazing. Yeah. So we'll go effects, and this is a real strange category for this film because. Personally, I'd say they're pretty good.
Yeah.
I would say they're pretty good. I love that Howard is fully a suit and not just like shots of his head or shots of his hands. It's a full suit the whole way.
I like Howard,
and I think that's effort that it didn't need to be, and I really like that. I think the CGI stuff that kind of comes like the electric bolt and stuff, it's a bit rough, but it's 80s.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting anything major. I think the big issue is the duck characters themselves. Yeah. Like I said, within the first few minutes, you get that girl... It's just bizarre. Who decided that? Why did they need that? It's super weird. Yeah. It just kind of added nothing but shock value, and it doesn't. By the last half of the film, we don't even get half as much shock value as we did in the first half. Yeah. So it's like they were trying to reel you in, and then they're kind of but you've seen it now. It was really weird. I thought the Dark Overlords looked awesome, but I don't think there's anything that really super stands out. It's all just pretty decent. Yeah. Nothing amazing, but nothing bad either. And at this point, I'm really struggling to see why people really hate on this film. Yeah. So effects, I'm going 7 out of 10 because they're fine.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Howard he does look great. Yeah. He looks really good for, he does look like a duck in a human world, which it works, Yeah,
I agree.
I think I pretty much agree with most of the stuff you're saying here. I think Jennings I love like the stupid over the top, like his powers. They look so stupid, but it works. It does work. There's a lot of like the sort of. As I said before, the Ghostbusters sort of thing. He looks really similar. When he's all turning blue, he's all turning red. He's got they give him like a good amount of powers and different variation of things. I think the Beast for me looked awful, but I loved it. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It was similar to when he did Mortal Kombat.
Yes,
where it's like it's not quite that bad, but I think it looks so silly within the film. Obviously, I know the duck is obviously a duck, but everything else is kind of normal. And then to have this like big. Like, as I said, like old, like 1920s looking, like beast thing was just, it is ridiculous. But I agree, 10 out of 10 again.
If we get all these together, it's going to be incredible. Yeah. Music, I won't argue any of this here. I think the soundtrack's incredible. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. I think the score goes hard. Yeah. I think the soundtrack is amazing. I've added like 3 or 4 songs into my Spotify playlist. I really love the Howard the Duck theme intro song thing. It's incredible. I'd listen to the band if they were real. But Leah Thompson, the actress, actually sang in the film for the band.
Oh, really?
Which knocked this up for me as well. I think the whole soundtrack's great. 9 out of 10.
Yep.
Really loved it.
I don't need to say more 9 out of 10. Completely agree. Like, yeah, no, I agree.
This could go perfect.
Yeah, I agree with absolutely everything. Yeah, as I said, the soundtrack is the highlight.
It's fire. It's a highlight of the film. It is fantastic.
It was a good time as well. So I think this was around probably the same time as you had like Back to the Future and things like that, where it was more of like a bit of like, it's like an almost like 80s theme with like, I guess this sort of kid films as much as a bit barely, but yeah, where they sort of like they added a lot more of like original songs and like there was a lot more music based, which I kind of miss now.
Yeah, I do too, and it was great. Soundtrack's amazing. Entertainment, I really thought I was going to be real negative on this film, but to my honest surprise, I was pretty much entertained the whole way through.
Good.
I really, really enjoyed it. It's just this wacky little fun adventure. Sometimes it's a bit too over the top and edgy for its own good. I don't really know why they did it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of part of its charm at this point. My main issue with this film is it's 2 hours. That is my absolute biggest issue. It did not need to be 2 hours, and some of the scenes just feel dragged out for the sake of it. The flying machine bit, too long. Far too long.
Yeah,
and the diner scene kind of enters that territory as well. It just keeps going. And I kind of wish they just shortened them a little bit, and this would have been bumped up even more. But I think this is a real fun film. Maybe if I watched it when it was released, if I was there, I'd have a different take on it.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm watching it now, in this day and age, as a 26-year-old man, loved it. 8.5.
Nice. Very good.
Real fun. Real good time.
Yeah, I found it quite hard to rate, I'll be honest. It was because it's so weird. I think this is probably one of the oddest ones we've done.
100%.
Because it's such a strange concept, isn't it, to have like a duck enter the real world. I personally enjoyed the duck world. I would have liked a bit more.
100%.
Like I think if we had like a little like even like a 10-minute section where he's in work or just like a day in the life
walking around town with all these ducks walking around.
You know, I'm assuming it was obviously budget related, things like that. But yeah, I think like to have him actually in that world for like a little 10-minute section would have been quite interesting to start. Even though it's really weird that it's basically a love story.
Yeah.
You kind of end up slightly rooting for them.
Yeah.
Weirdly, do you know what I mean? Even though this is a duck and a human getting together, you're sort of a bit like, go on. It's just like when you actually think about this film, like if you try to explain this to somebody who's never seen it, no idea what's going on.
You can't explain this well.
But it's also a great time, like, and I've got an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10, okay.
Yeah, odds hard to rate, but you've got to see it.
It's so entertaining, and judging on that alone,
I think where you hated the car scene, I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, just went on for a little bit too long. I think if they cut that down, it would have been better. And obviously, Phil isn't like the best character, so when you go in with these two characters, one's really wacky, one's really monotone. It just didn't work. Overall, I'm gonna end up rewatching this film multiple times. Like, it's gonna be one of those films I just chuck on. I really don't understand why it's so hated. Like, I understand it's weird. I get that, but it's kind of part of its charm, and it doesn't hide the fact that it's weird. I do like that. There are some questionable scenes, 100%, but it's just a fun, like, teenage age comedy adventure. Yeah. And there was no point where I wanted to turn this off.
No.
It's such an odd film, but it made me want to keep watching.
Yeah.
The music kept pulling me in because the music's incredible, and it's really not that bad of a film. So overall, I'm going 8.
Would you recommend?
I would 100% recommend it. Yeah, 100%. I think if you watch it, don't look at all the negative side of it. Don't look at all the reviews. Don't do any of that. No. Watch this film on your own and just realize it for what it is. It's a silly 80s adventure with a banging soundtrack. 8 out of 10. I will recommend it. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I would 100% recommend this as well. Like, it's really good. I think it's one of those where you need to see it to believe it. Yeah. You know, you just need to watch this film to understand what on earth is actually going on and how it is. And it's just a fun time. Yeah. It's silly, it's nonsensical, but it's fun. And I genuinely love to see a new Howard the Duck film.
100%. And I think it's a very original film. You don't see films like this anymore, and maybe that's a good thing to a degree. But I miss these types of films where they just go for it.
I think this was probably around the time when the dinosaurs TV shows out as well, when you had like this sort of thing where you'd have like weird like animals,
people in costume, basically.
Animals within human worlds. Yeah. So I would like to see a little comeback of this. But I think they've kind of introduced him slightly into the MCU, and I would genuinely like to see a Howard the Duck film.
Yeah, me too, because they did it in What If as well, didn't they? There was an episode
Yeah,
in
we've
What
got
If.
a few.
But just give us a whole thing.
Yeah.
Give us like some sort of adventure you
Yeah.
can go on. I'd
Yeah.
bring the characters back. I'd love to see
Yeah,
it.
I would love to see
What's the score overall?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. We were so
Pretty
close.
much, yeah. I think we're
Entertainment, we just
0.5 out, but yeah.
fair play. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's a good fun film.
Yeah.
So that was our disaster debate on Howard the Duck. We both were pretty much spot on with it, altogether. Yeah, and it's just a real fun film. And again, please check it out, but don't look at what people say about it. Just go in and watch it, and then let us know what you think about it, because we know you're gonna watch it. So yeah.
So yes, give us a follow. We're on all the socials at The Feature Fellas. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on X. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Give us your favourite duck. Whatever your favourite duck is, you tell us.
Absolutely, and we will see you next time.
Stay classy.